This is an UNX News special report. I'm your host, Margie Kay, and with me is Carl Harper. He is an investigator for Missouri MUFON, and he is working on this particular case. And also our witness, Joe, who saw something very, very strange on March 11th at approximately 4:15 p.m. Central Time. Joe, would you just give us a synopsis of what it was you were doing and what you saw?
So it was just like any other day. I was just driving home from work, and on my way home, I was coming past Ameristar, right where Love's gas station's at, and I was saw two black helicopters. They're a couple hundred feet, maybe 300 or 400 feet in the air. And it looked like they were flying, I remember, south to north. So I thought that was pretty cool because I don't usually see those kind of helicopters in the area. And so I'm driving, and as I come over the bridge, that's when I see this black object kind of about a mile down the road off to the side of the highway a little bit. Yeah, it was about a mile down the road. And so at the moment, I couldn't figure out what it was. I thought maybe it was another helicopter, maybe a drone or something that got picked up by the wind. I couldn't tell what it was. So as I'm driving, I'm kind of focusing on it a little bit. And I'm starting to come closer to the object, and it just has not moved a slight bit at all, just completely stationary, just sitting there. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty unusual. So if it was something that picked up by the air, I thought it would have moved by now or something. And so I'm probably about at this point a quarter mile to a half mile away from it, and that's when I realized it was just absolutely something just completely like unordinary. It was just so stationary, like unnaturally unstationary, like it was copied and pasted there in the air. It was kind of weird. It's That's like the best way I could describe it is how perfectly still this thing was. And I'm examining it, and it has absolutely no seams or bolts or rivets, any creases. It's just looks almost organic is the best way I can describe it. So I've been doing a little bit of research on it because I've just been trying to figure out the shape of this thing. And so the best way I could describe it is, the shape of a blood cell, like how it's like a circle with
Mm-hmm.
concave in the middle. It had that kind of pattern, like that shape, but it had a hexagon kind of pattern on the outside. Yeah, like that hexagon pattern, and it had no defining lines, and the back end looked like it curved into itself. And so I was just completely just flabbergasted. I didn't know what to think of this. And I'm an open-minded like critic, so like I used every bit of intuition and criticism to try to like tell myself this was something that I just probably can't understand at the moment. Like there
Mm-hmm.
has to be an explanation to this. So I literally drive right under this thing. I look around because I can't see it at this point anymore because it's almost directly above me. I'm driving. I look down, look at the road, and look at the other drivers, and I can't really tell, but it looked like I didn't see anybody else stop. I didn't see anybody else like completely in shock either. So I'm like, maybe it's something I just don't understand right now. And I'm like, but it was so abnormal that it was hard to describe. It's just like once you see it, you're like my brain couldn't process what I was looking at. And so I drive past the intersection, and I kind of look up at my mirrors, and I'm watching it in my mirrors. And then I get about another half mile down the road, and that's when I see the two black helicopters that have obviously come around and did a loop, and now we're coming from the, I would say, east to the west, directly toward this thing. So I was heading east, and so they were coming directly at this thing, maybe a couple hundred feet above where altitude of what it was at. And I was like, okay, this is probably something definitely going on here. Like this is not a common thing for a helicopter to be this low flying in patterns like this. So I'm like, I definitely saw something. So I'm keeping track of it in my mirror. I was gonna do a U-turn at the next intersection, which was about a mile down the road. And it's by the FedEx terminals. And I was about to do my U-turn. I'm keeping track of this thing the whole time in my mirror. And as soon as I'm like about to do my U-turn, I'm looking in my mirror. It's just gone. I look down for 1 second, look back up, and it was gone. I do my U-turn. I come back to the area, and I'm looking, and I see the helicopters have now flown maybe southwest a little bit towards the Missouri River, and the thing was just gone. And I was like, "What the hell was that? What did I just see?" This thing was, and I guess I kind of did some research because I was like, I'm trying to figure out the size of this thing, and I kind of guessed the light pole because I could tell it was between the two light poles. There was three before the intersection. It was kind of floating between the two, a little bit 20 feet on the side of the highway, and the top of that light pole is about 20 feet across, and it was probably another 10 feet of wider than that. So I'm guessing about 30 feet is probably the like size of it.
And then you called a friend of yours who was able to get a picture of one of the helicopters, correct?
No, so yeah, I did a couple days later because I was just trying to figure out what was going on. I was like,
Oh,
hey, did you see a helicopter in there? Because I used to work over in that area, so I knew a buddy that works over there. He
mhm.
was like, yeah, I got a picture of it.
Okay, so
Yeah, and
this is his picture that we're showing
yeah,
here. Um,
And if you look at the time on that, you see it was just before his sighting, just minutes.
okay, right, right. So as you're driving underneath this thing, how far away from the vehicle do you think it was?
I mean, if I was standing on top of that light pole, I probably could have thrown a rock at it. So I'm guessing no more than 100 feet in the air.
Okay.
It was pretty low.
Well, this is a pretty unusual sighting as far as sightings go, and we get a lot of them at Missouri MUFON. Carl, what did you do as part of your investigation so far? Who have you contacted, and what information do you have about this?
Well, one of the first things I did was go to online sources, the Flight Radar 24 site, and I went back to that date and time. Matter of fact, I watched radar for an hour before and an hour after, and to see if there was any aircraft that popped up in that area, in particular military. None showed. Of course, they may not have had their transponders on.
Hmm.
I did find two civilian aircraft that were flying in the area. One was from the University of Missouri down at Warrensburg, the pilot training classes that they have there.
Hmm.
And I've sent a request for them to ask their pilot instructors and students if any of them saw anything. I've been trying to track down the other aircraft that was in the area. And I did send a request to the FAA, and they reported that there was no reports of anything unusual in that area. The closest report they had that day was Springfield.
Yeah, that's interesting that they would tell you, first of all, that there was something going on in Springfield, which is now something else to look into, as Springfield is a UFO hotspot as well. Kansas City has been for quite some time, but this is very unusual in that it was close proximity, and then the shape to be just this nondescript sort of shape. Joe, what color was this thing?
The best way I could describe it was black. It was very, very black, and it had like a carbon fiber kind of black to it. That's the best color I can come up with. And I noticed that the entire time I observed this thing while driving, I never saw a reflection off of this thing. Like it never glared
Oh,
in the sun or anything. And it was just perfectly sunny that day. There was not a cloud in the sky.
that's unusual as well to have no reflection of sunlight. And especially at that time in the afternoon, the sun would be low in the sky. Um, so, Carl, when you posted to social media, did you get any reaction from people?
I think we're right at around 125 responses now. And people living in the Oric area, which is not too far away off of 210, and all over to the Worlds of Fun area, all saw the helicopters. But as of yet, I have not got a second reporting of the sighting.
Well, we would ask that anybody who did see the helicopters, or more specifically, this object in the sky, to please report it at MUFON.com. That's www.mufon.com. And Carl Harper will be assigned to that case, and we'll add it to the information that we have here. Joe, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else that you want to add?
Yeah, I don't. There was probably a dozen other cars on the highway at this time, so
Mhm.
I mean, I'm pretty sure somebody else have had to have seen this thing. So it's up to them if they want to come with it or not. But it was unusually not busy at the time for what time of day it was. But there was definitely other vehicles and a couple semis on the road at that time.
Margie, I
Okay.
think a better or a more central location of where this happened, Ameristar on 210 highway up to the road that goes to the FedEx warehouse, I think would be
Yep.
right, Joe? That's pretty much the area where this happened. And there's a lot of traffic in that area normally.
Yeah.
Yeah, there most certainly is a lot of traffic. I know that area well. Well, thank you both for joining me this evening. I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll get some more witnesses to this event because it is extremely strange.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.